Welcome to Divine Dissection. Today's episode, Genesis. But before we get into that, I want to establish right off the bat that I am not an expert and I'm not good at this yet. So I'm going to miss things, I'm going to mess it up completely. So, work with me here, but feel free to say something in the comments and I'll try to address it later. With that said, let's get into it. Genesis, the first book of the Bible, the very beginning. Before we start, who wrote Genesis? As everything is in the Bible, it's debated. But to start, some scholars believe that it was written by multiple different people over the course of a few hundred years. They believe that because of different uses of the word God, or different words for God here, and different literary styles, that Moses wasn't the only one who wrote the Bible. But later in the Bible itself, Exodus, Numbers, and even Jesus himself quote saying that Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, or the Pentateuch. Moses was a witness to a good amount of the Pentateuch, and what he didn't, it's easy to assume that God revealed to him in the same way that he revealed the Ten Commandments. Genesis holds some of the most recognizable and important stories of the Bible, not only telling of the creation of the universe, but also the first humans, the downfall of mankind, a brother's betrayal, a world-ending flood, and the father of the Jewish people. Join me on the first steps of our adventure through the greatest story ever told. Welcome to Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the earth. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Over the course of 6 days, God creates the universe and the earth, light, separating it from darkness to create night and day, making grass and plants to grow, trees that yield fruit. He creates the moon and the sun, placing them in the sky to rule the night and the day, respectively. On the 5th day, he created sea creatures and birds. On the 6th day, he mixed creatures of the land. In his final creation, man. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Man and female he created them. Then God blessed them, and said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Have domain over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and of every living thing that moves on the earth. After each day he looks over what he's created, and he decides that it is good. On the 7th day he rests. He blesses the 7th day and looks upon what he created, and once again he says that it was good. The 7th day becomes known as the Sabbath, a holy day for the Jewish people. 6 days, 7 if you count the rest, but 6 days to create everything that we can see, hear, and touch. To no one's surprise, theologists are split on whether this time is meant literally or figuratively. If we take the text at face value, 6 days is so many hours, that would put the age of the earth around 6,000 years old. Other theologians suggest that the 6 days was meant figuratively, with each day taking millions upon millions of years. With that, we get a more believable age for the earth, and I don't have to deny science. Win-win. Genesis 2 gives us a different account of creation. While Genesis 1 focuses on the heavens and displays God as an omniscient and ever-present being, Genesis 2 focuses on the creation of the earth and shows God as a more down-to-earth, almost human form. God creates a garden in which he names Eden. In it is every tree, including the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Man is then placed in the garden to tend it. That man is Adam. The Bible doesn't say who gave Adam his name. The name derives from Adam in Hebrew, which is in turn derived from Adamah, meaning soil or earth, which, when used as a noun, represents man or humanity. Adam is told by God, Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not, for in the day that you eat it, you shall surely die. God realizes that man shouldn't be left alone, so God creates a host of living creatures for him. After each one, God presents them to Adam, and Adam gives them a name. But throughout this process, they're unable to find somebody suitable for Adam. So God places Adam in a deep sleep and removes one of his ribs, using the piece to create another being. God then brings them to Adam, and he says, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of a man. Adam and his wife live in the garden naked, for they were not ashamed. Humanity is pure and innocent, and is left to watch over the Garden of Eden. Next, we're told of the serpent. more cunning than any other beast God has made. The Bible doesn't say that this serpent is the devil, but it's pretty unanimously agreed that it is at least controlled by the devil, if not the devil himself. The serpent asks the woman if God really told them they couldn't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The woman responds saying that God told them that if they were to eat from the tree that they would die. The serpent responds, "Nuh-uh." The serpent says, "You will not surely die, for God knows that in the day you eat of it your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." The woman looks at the tree and sees that it bears fruit and it's pleasing to the eyes, and so she eats of it. And she takes it to Adam, who also eats of it. In this act, humanity loses its innocence. Their eyes are opened and they realize their nakedness. Embarrassed, they fashion fig leaves together to cover themselves and hide from God. Eventually, God calls out to Adam, saying, "Where are you?" Adam responds with this: "I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself." God responds, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat?" Adam replies, "The woman whom you gave to me, she gave me of the tree, and I ate." And the Lord God said to the woman, "What is this you've done?" The woman responds, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." So the Lord God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, you are cursed more than all cattle, and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you should go, and you shall eat dust all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel." To the woman he said, "I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you." To Adam he says, "Because you have heeded the voice of your wife, and have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you, saying, 'You shall not eat of it.' Cursed is the ground for your sake. In toil you shall eat of it all days of your life. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return." Adam and his wife were deceived by the serpent. They break God's one rule for them and eat the forbidden fruit. Upon learning of this deceit, God curses the serpent to live and die on its belly. And for breaking God's one rule, humanity is doomed to toil and die. Adam names his wife Eve, meaning mother of all living. God creates clothing for them out of animal skin and banishes them from Eden, placing angels at the gate with a flaming sword to bar their way. God does this to prevent them from eating of the tree of life, which would grant them immortality. After leaving Eden, the two settle, and Eve conceives Cain and Abel. In time, they bring offerings to the Lord. Cain, the oldest, brings God an offering of fruit. Abel brings a sheep, the firstborn of the flock. God respects Abel's offering over Cain's, and Cain becomes angry. Nothing states exactly why Cain's sacrifice is overlooked, but we've got a few different theories we can look over. Firstly, Cain's sacrifice doesn't involve blood. Like we'll see later in the New Testament, God asks frequently for animal sacrifices for atonement and other spiritual needs. Another, Cain's offering wasn't the best he could have offered. It simply says Cain offered just fruit, while Abel offered the firstborn of the sheep. And thirdly, it's possible that Cain's heart wasn't in it. Cain gave an offering, but maybe just because he felt like he needed to. And if Abel gave his offering wholeheartedly in belief, then it's no wonder why God would accept Abel's offering and not Cain's. God consoles Cain, telling him, "If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it." It's obvious whatever the cause of God overlooking Cain's offering can be fixed, because he advises Cain to change his ways. But Cain does not heed this advice. Cain calls out to his brother, and they meet in a field. Once there, Cain murders his brother and leaves him in the field. God calls out to Cain and asks where Abel is. Cain replies, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" God replies, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth." Cain replies to the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Surely you have driven me out on this day from the face of the ground. I shall be hidden from your face. I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond on the earth, and it will happen that anyone who finds me will kill me. And the Lord said to him, Therefore, whoever kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark on Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him. In Cain's failure to please God, he becomes angry and jealous of his brother. God gives advice to Cain and pleads with him to change his ways. But Cain ignores this advice and takes his anger out on his brother, killing him. God learns of Cain's betrayal and banishes him from the land with only a mark of protection and a sign of unforgivable betrayal. That'll do it for part 1. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and be sure to subscribe so you'll see the next time I upload. In the meantime, I'll be working on part 2, and I hope to see you next time.